Today I'm going to go over APS-C lenses that can work on full frame cameras. And why would you want to use APS-C lenses on a full frame camera? Let's step back for a second. Full frame cameras produce a 3:2 aspect ratio. However, when you're filming for video, there is a 16:9 aspect ratio. That means that there's already some inherent cropping involved. If you're trying to maximize the image circle so that it only produces exactly enough as you need, potentially you can get smaller lenses, and with APS-C you have wider focal lengths, you have lighter lenses, you have smaller lenses. That is a win for everyone. People who are shooting mixed formats with APS-C and full frame, people who are traveling, people who are really cheap, Asians. Today I'm going to experiment with 6 APS-C lenses. I'm here to test the dynamic stabilization, active stabilization, and just regular stabilization. And this is the first lens. It is generally known to work well. And I am at 10 millimeters, and let's go to standard stabilization. You can see that the image circle is quite large, okay? APS-C is that amount right there, and we're just gonna see the profile as I zoom in what happens, okay? So the image circle got larger. That's incredible because it's now further in and it's larger. I didn't mean that way, okay? But at 18, there's like no hard vignetting at all, and there's no stabilization. So this lens is pretty used even as like without active stabilization. But if you have active stabilization, it's going to go foul quickly. And this is at 11. There's like no hard vignetting. I mean, there is a little bit, but once you're in active stabilization, geez, 11 is pretty darn usable, okay? And I have to turn it off to switch to dynamic stabilization. Okay, so here I am at dynamic stabilization. It's tighter, but you can almost get away with 10, not quite, so you do have to get to 11. Okay, dynamic stabilization, 11 millimeters all the way to 18 millimeters, and that's at a constant f4. This lens is older, it's less expensive, it's great. I believe I got this for $350, my own money. My wife doesn't watch this channel, so it's all good. All right, so this is the 10 to 18 millimeter f4. Let's go to the next lens. Oh, by the way, did I tell you what lenses I have? I have Sony 10 to 18, Sigma 10 to 18, Sigma 18 to 50, and the Tamron 17 to 70. Those last two are f2.8. Here's another f4 lens though. This is the Sony Zeiss 16 to 70 f4, and the image circle is clearly not as large as the 10 to 18. And let's see if it improves a bit. And this is just in this raw form. And guess what? There is a squared vignetting pattern. So whenever you see a square vignetting problem, or sometimes it even happens with circular ones, and I'll show you later, that means that there's a physical blockage for that vignette problem, because the image circle, the lens is a circular lens. It's not square, okay? So that means that you can do surgery, and I'll demonstrate in a second. But this one is not so usable. Let's go to active stabilization. I mean dynamic stabilization. I'll switch right here. Okay, so this is at 16 millimeters, and it vignettes for sure. So let's see where it goes away. So now I'm midway, so I'm around 20. It's still there. 24 now. Still there. Okay, so this is around like 26. It's mostly usable at 26, but look how zoomed in I am. I'm holding it out here and my face is all the way zoomed in. So this, I mean, if you're okay with this look, or you're okay with 26, you can probably get it working all the way to 70. Yeah. And without even surgery. But if you do the surgery, then you can probably get active stabilization working with this too from 26. Not very usable, to be honest. I wouldn't get this over like the Sony 24 to 70 if you had no choice. Okay, so the Sony 24 to 70, it is a bigger and heavier lens, but these things, they're not expensive because they have a poor reputation. Ooh. Bruh. Okay, so this is the Tamron 17 to 70 f2.8. I mean 17 to 70 f2.8. That would be amazing if it worked, but let's see. We are in active stabilization right now, and it's not even liking that much. The image circle is just too small with this. Let's just see the behavior though. And if I recall it, the baffle on this thing doesn't work so well. Like, you can't do the baffle removal. Okay, so yeah, I don't think this is gonna work out. So that's just a zoom in right there. I'm gonna turn on dynamic stabilization. Okay. Granted, I mean, not that many people are gonna be vlogging with this lens because it's just so big and heavy. You might as well get a small or full frame at that point. Okay, so it does vignette all the way up to, this is like 25 millimeters. And 25 is going to be a tight shot. Okay. So this was the 17 to 70 f2.8. There's a crap load of range. My goodness, this thing, it's a nice lens, but if it worked further, it would be a great lens. So if you're looking to try it, you know, realistically, it's not gonna work well for that vlogging type look or normal filming lens. I mean, it's decent for a semi-mid to telephoto, but that's it. Many people aren't going to like this lens because it is the 16 to 50 and it is a kit lens. People just don't like kit lenses, and I don't blame them. They're not super sharp, but for video you don't need it to be super sharp. And here we go. Dynamic stabilization is on, and you can see that it does vignette quite a bit at 16. Let's go to, I know where it is. I believe it was like 20. It should be pretty good by then. Okay, so the issue with this is that this toggle is just way too fast, but if you use this, the lever or the ring on the item itself, it works well. Here you go. 20 millimeters, nice, lightweight, and no vignetting. And now I can zoom all the way into 50 millimeters. And yeah, this is, you see how close it is now. It's, of course, it's a standard zoom. You're not going to zoom all the way in there just because of it. So you can start off at 20, easily vlog, and this is like, look, this is small and lightweight. So if you want an all-in-one lens and you have good lighting, you are outdoors, then this, I mean, this is almost like a no-brainer to have. And these things, they're dirt cheap. Okay, so there's one thing I cheated when I did this, but let's just go to standard stabilization and show you what's going on. Okay, so this is 16 millimeters. And if you zoom in, you see that this is how the lenses should behave. They create a bigger image circle. And there's no form of stabilization. I'm not using anything. It's just on standard OSS, whatever. 30, 31. So this lens has really good behavior. It creates a large image circle. Okay, so we are all the way at 50 now. The image circle on this is large because I got rid of the baffle. Otherwise, it's not usable. It's not very usable. Okay, so let's see how usable it is with active stabilization. So you have to get in quite a bit. We're at 24 already. 25, 26, 28. Yeah, it's not great on active stabilization. I'm at 30 already. Yeah, so it looks like all throughout the range, it kind of vignettes a little bit with active stabilization until the further ranges. And let's try this one. It is the Sigma 18 to 50. So we are going to turn on dynamic stabilization. All right, the Sigma 18 to 50. On first glance, it's kind of hard to see, but is there even any vignetting? Yeah, there's definitely vignetting. So let's see if we can go away. I am at around 21 millimeters right now. And it seems like it did reduce. Okay, so there's not much vignetting at 21, but 21, is that good enough for you? So let's just see all throughout the range. Okay, so at 28, it looks like it's starting to show up again. Okay. And you might be able to get rid of this. So at like 28, there might be some stabilization issues. Introducing the crop factor again, the hard vignette. At 50, is there much? Yes, even at 50 years. There's a possibility that you can get rid of those. Okay. I'm saying it's a possibility. This is a rental lens. But so what happens is that when you have a lens, this lens, okay, so here is the 10 to 18, which I will test next. This is the 10 to 18 f2.8 Sigma. It has a baffle, okay? And what happens is that when you turn, you zoom, you can see that the element is actually going inside, and that baffle is going to cast a shadow, which is the hard vignette. So if you can remove that, then have a look at this. See, this lens, the 10 to 18 Sony f4, it used to vignette at the longer size. And when I remove the baffle, the longer side no longer vignettes, because you can see that you might have like a square vignette, and lenses produce circles, not squares. Okay, so if you're seeing that you have like a square vignette pattern, then that means that you have an issue with a physical barrier that is not the lens itself. All right, onwards to, so this is the 10 to 18 Sigma f2.8. 2.8. This is really appealing. So here I am at 10 millimeters and f2.8. It's the smallest f2.8 zoom you can have, right? It's a small lens. And is there any vignette? All the way at 10. Dynamic stabilization 10. So there is. You can see, like if you rotate at that bad angle, it can show up. 11, is it going away? Yeah, I think it's mostly gone by 11. It still can creep up. But other than that, let's see throughout the range. Okay, there's no vignetting throughout the range, which is fantastic. I mean, you have, let's say 10 to 18 with 1.3, so you have 13 to 20, 24. Is that right? Yeah, 13 to 24. That is f2.8 practically. I mean, if you have a 13 to 24 full frame that is going to get cropped anyhow, then it's still a 13 to 24 f2.8. So this is a fantastic lens. And I've been using this lens like this for my other videos on the other channel. It's fantastic. This is my go-to lens. It's one of my truly go-to lenses because it's just so fun being this wide and then zooming in to a normal shot. Okay, let's sum it up. The Tamron 17 to 70 f2.8, that lens worked all right if you're not moving too much. However, it does creep the vignetting throughout the entire range. It's not entirely usable. I mean, it's not highly usable, let's just say. The Sony 16 to 70 f4, very small, very cute lens with 58 millimeter filter. However, that lens was usable from around 28 to 30 all the way to 70 at f4. If that's good enough for you, you can check out that lens. The Sigma 18 to 50 millimeter f2.8, that lens wasn't entirely usable until around 28 to 50, I believe. 18 to 50 millimeters all at f2.8, that would have been fantastic. But then again, it's just wishful thinking. Just like the idea of my wife doing the dishes on a timely manner. As for the winners, the Sony 10 to 18 millimeter f4, that is an ultra wide vlogging beast. If you can get that for extremely cheap, there you go. That's your ultimate vlogging lens. It goes from around 12 to 18 with active steady shot, 11 to 18 with dynamic, and it's stable. It is small. It is light. The next one is the 16 to 50 kit lens. This one was unexpected, but again, once you did the surgery on it, you will remove the square box. It was good from 20 to 50. I mean, 20 to 50, even variable aperture, that's a really usable lens. And that thing is small, is tiny. It is super inexpensive. People treat it like trash because, well, it's not the highest rated lens, and it's not the most sharpest, the ability to blur background is not great either. And the final one is the Sigma 10 to 18 millimeters f2.8 in such a small package. The entire range is f2.8. That lens weighs like 300, 200 grams. Now I gotta look it up. For Sony E-mount, it is 255 grams. That is amazing. Where can you find a lens that is 12 millimeters f2.8 that's 255 grams? That is even 18 millimeters. I mean, the smallest you're gonna find is the Samyang 18 millimeter f2.8 full frame lens, and that lens is like 150 grams. This thing is 250. It's 100 grams more, and you get this entire range, and they're essentially the same size. It's even, I mean, it's not that far off from the Sony 10 to 18. I mean, so if you're going to upgrade from APS-C, if you're going to use dynamic stabilization, if you're one of those people that have the newer bodies, this video might be a little bit before its time, but it's gonna get there. The next Sony camera will have dynamic stabilization, in my opinion. Well, not counting the A9 III, of course. Anyhow, stay tuned for part 2, which I will bring in many more lenses. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share. See you in the next one. Take care.